Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is such a beautiful day out today. I am so glad that you're taking the time to check out Friday Friends with me, Deb Burton, Executive Director of RI Elder Info, where every week I bring you information that you or someone you know needs to know about. So please hit the like button, the share button, all those social media cues that say, hey, check this out. Today, we are having a conversation with John Tassoni about something that impacts many of our families that maybe we don't actually talk about as much as we should. So please help us get the word out, because maybe someone watching, maybe this will spark a very important conversation. Now, as you all know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we could not do this without the support of United Healthcare. And Friday Friends is brought to you by McCarthy Law. Here's a message from McCarthy Law.
Here at McCarthy Law, we practice in the areas of estate planning, long-term care planning, elder care law, and residential real estate. Our focus is really on providing peace of mind to our clients.
If you're interested in scheduling a consultation with our office, you can feel free to reach out to us at 401-541-5540. You can also reach out via website at www.mccarthylawri.com. You also should check out our social media, both on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for some helpful tips and tricks.
Hey, John, how are you today?
Well, good morning, Miss Burton. How are you today?
Very good, very good. For folks who maybe are not familiar with you, although I can't imagine that there would be very many, just in case, can you tell people who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm John J. Tassoni Jr. I am the president and CEO of the Substance Use Mental Health Leadership Council of Rhode Island, and also the host of Recovery TV.
And you are on Channel 12 every Sunday at 11:30?
It's 10:30 and 11:30. There's
Yes.
a whole, and we're also on Saturday nights on CW and MRI TV.
Awesome. 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 I love your show, by the way.
Thank you.
It's been a little bit since I've had you on the show. And, at that time, I think we were still in COVID and alcohol delivery was like still just getting started. And now it's dry January. What are you seeing in relation to alcohol and substance use among our older adults?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm not too sure if it's dry January. Alcohol use has now overtaken the opioid crisis in all my residential treatment facilities. More and more folks are turning towards alcohol due to the fentanyl issue, going to the street and get substances that may not be the substances that they think they're taking. And there's been a lot of deaths. There's been a lot of suicides. There's been a lot of everything. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is not going away anytime soon. It's progressively getting worse.
Now, when it comes to addiction, is there a difference between somebody who is using alcohol as their drug of choice versus the opioids?
There's not really a difference other than, I'm not someone who's in recovery, so I can't tell you what the feelings are other than what I hear. But I will tell you that because of the fentanyl crisis, the older adults are a little bit more timid about going to the street to get their pain medication. And I'll use this for an example. If John decides to go in to get shoulder surgery and it is excruciating pain, when you leave the hospitals now, they're only going to give you between 8 and maybe 10 Oxycontins for the pain. Once that wears off, not the pain, the opioid as itself, the doctors are not prescribing the accurate pain medication due to the opioid crisis. And a lot of seniors now are going to the street. A lot of seniors who live in high rises. A lot of the people who seek pain medication look at to the street to get more pain medication to help them with their pain, but it's not really pain medication. It's fentanyl.
My goodness. And it that can have deadly consequences really, really quickly. I can see how that can happen. Yeah, it's interesting. I was assisting somebody who had really a catastrophic injury. And while they were waiting for surgery to put bones back together, they were given oxy and they took it appropriately. But what was not shared by the pharmacy or the physician, which I was quite surprised, they shared the naloxone and everything about addiction. And it was something that you mentioned in the very beginning that struck me. One of the potential side effects for stopping use of OxyContin is suicidal ideation.
Correct.
And that was not something that was talked about in the paperwork. And it was very surprising to me to see this individual who, yes, they had a catastrophic injury, but to see them really go off the cliff and need help emergently, it was a surprise. It was a significant surprise.
It's surprised, Deb, because we as a society don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about suicide.
Nope.
But the numbers are through the roof on suicides right now.
Yeah.
Now, you could ask yourself why. Well, it could be because of catastrophic health concerns. It could be because of financial issues. It could be because of overdose issues. It could become mental health issues. But no one wants to talk about it. I just had a gentleman on my show a few weeks ago, which is coming up in a few weeks, that talks about suicide and talks about the issues pertaining to suicide. It's not young folks, it's middle-aged folks to the elderly. You know, he talked about a little bit about the elderly as far as getting bad news from a doctor. You know, Deb, John, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have cancer. People don't want to deal with that. So what do? They take their own lives. They don't want to deal with it. But there's also a number people can call and have a conversation with people, and that's the 988 number. That number now that the federal government has put into effect, the telephone calls over there have risen through the roof. Through the roof.
And that number, if you're dialing it locally, that's actually answered locally so that folks can get help locally. It's not going out to some national, well, maybe you call an 800 number, maybe somebody will answer. That's actually local.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not somebody from overseas either. A lot of times now that when you call for your credit cards, everything's overseas. The 988 is right here in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that I was looking for some other data, and I had reached out to the Department of Health, and non-accidental overdoses, sometimes referred to as poisoning, and suicide among our older adults is skyrocketing, particularly in our rural communities over the last 5 years. And in particular, among older men, it is alarming. When individuals are ready for help, they can call 988, they can text. What other resources are available out there?
No, there's a lot of resources. I mean, people should be in contact with their senior centers. There's a lot of information at the senior centers now. You can call here at the office at 521-5759. And if you have that number and no one's here at that point, my private cell phone number is on the recording, and people can talk to me about substance use or mental health, or we can get you in touch with 988 or 211, anything like that. I mean, the issue of our folks, our elderly folks now, is being compressed into an area where isolation.
Yeah.
And no one they don't leave their house. There's no one to talk to. They get those feelings. Well, maybe, you know what? No one cares about me. Maybe I should just do what I need to do. No, everyone cares. There is help out there. There is help for everybody out there. You just got to make sure you call the right person, 988. Call my office here.
Call me.
Call Deb at Rhode Island Elder. But there are a lot of people to have conversations with, but a lot of people get in a cocoon and they don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for individuals who have maybe had a long time substance use disorder,
Mm-hmm.
is there treatment available, or is there a point where it's kind of like it's too late to seek treatment? Is
No,
it ever
it's
too
never
late?
too late. Never too late. Don't even say that. It's never too late to get treatment. There is hope and recovery. That's the tagline to my TV show. There is hope. There's so many people that come on my show that have turned their life around and then become productive citizens again. Some national people, some professional sports people. So there is hope. You just got to make sure your mindset is to go in the right direction, to get hope, to get help, and to get your life back on track again. I was just going to tell you a quick story. I had a gentleman on my show, 22 overdoses. 22 overdoses. He survived every one of them. That gentleman right now is a productive citizen. He's doing great things in work now, and he's got his life back together. Sometimes it's almost like you got to get hit in the head with a ball to figure it out. But a lot of people, when they come on my show, they just can't believe that their life was turned around because of somebody helping them. Helping them, and make sure that they do the right thing. And every day's a struggle for someone who's been addicted. Every day, whether it's alcohol or substances, every day it's a struggle to make the next step forward. But you know what? Damn it, people do it. People do it.
One day at a time. I spoke with an individual who was in their 70s and had, by their account, been a lifelong alcoholic. Significantly so, lost family, lost, their kids, lost jobs, and had a medical event that resulted in them needing to go into the hospital and then go to a rehab facility to get stronger. And in that period of time, they were able to detox from the alcohol, because alcohol detox is something that your medical team really needs to know. If you're drinking on a regular basis, even if you're in the emergency room, it's important for them to know. But this individual was able to detox through this medical event in their 70s and had never thought it was possible. And when they returned home, they made the commitment that they were going to stay sober and began their own outreach as part of systems like AA, things like that, to be an example for younger individuals seeking recovery, to say that it is never too late. Look at me. I found my recovery in my 70s. It's never too late. And I thought, role model. Awesome.
Right. And two, when you look at the detox end, very seldom people die of a detox of opioid.
Right.
But it's very common that people die from a detox of alcohol if you're not in a safe medical environment.
And families don't realize that.
And that's why people didn't know this. That's why that the governor did not shut down the liquor stores during COVID.
Okay. Okay. Because that would have caused additional,
Amongst other things, but
yeah,
it would have caused a lot more people.
a lot more pressure on the emergency rooms. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
So it's interesting if I'm talking to family members and they mention, mom or dad, family member, they drink maybe a bottle of wine a day, or, they have their scotch on the rocks every night. Um, I let them know that, if your loved one, for whatever reason, has to go to the emergency room, it's really important that that be communicated to the emergency room staff, because these days, you go to the emergency room, you might be there for a good 6, 8 hours. And in that period of time, your loved one may start detoxing, and that can make a lot of blood pressure, heart rate things go wonky that the
Mhm.
emergency room is going to want to keep an eye on.
Well, it's funny you should bring that up today about the emergency room. I was had a friend who sat in the emergency room for 2 days
Yeah.
and needed to be hospitalized, but there's no room, there's no
Yeah.
beds.
Yep.
On top of that, I will tell you that my residential treatment facilities that I've been in touch with over the weekend said to me that they're maxed out, they're at capacity. We don't have enough beds in Rhode Island. That's a sad state of affairs, but it's something that we have to deal with. At certain times of the year, there's a waiting list. People like to go home for Christmas. They like to go home for New Year's, go on a bender, and then they're back in the next day or the day after. And then we have, we're full capacity like a hotel.
Yep.
So it's very, very heart wrenching to know that you have to put somebody on a waiting list when they decide that they need treatment at that particular point. If they don't want treatment, then that's fine. But if they do want treatment, you want to get them in as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you about another thing too. Is the deaths, overdose deaths. The number was in the 400s, I believe, last year and the year before. I mean, it's coming down, but that's because of Narcan.
Yep.
But the problem is that we're seeing the older adults that are under doctor's care. God forbid they get fentanyl and they pass away. More likely than not, there's no medical examiner's report saying that they died of an overdose. No autopsy and everything. They just passed away. So in
Right.
my mind, those numbers are skewed.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I've been told I'm not wrong. Those numbers are skewed. So there may be 500, 600, 700, 800 people. People, just please, if you need medication and you can't get it from your doc, go and get a second opinion. Don't go to the street to get medication. Stay
Yep.
away from the liquor stores to reduce the pain. It needs to be looked at. The pendulum swung so far to the left when we had this opioid crisis. We got to get it back to the middle now and treat people like they're people.
Yeah.
They're not all drug seekers.
Right.
I mean, you're going to get some.
Right.
You're going to get some, just like there's bad politicians, bad people.
Exactly.
Everybody's painted with the same brush. No. There's people that need pain medication for whatever reason.
Yep.
Whatever reason, and it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. You have bone on bone arthritis. Nobody's saying that doesn't hurt. But instead of, going down the hall and getting something that, somebody is pulling out of their closet, better to get that second opinion and maybe go to a pain clinic and see what are your other options from a legitimate medical provider and medication from a legitimate pharmacy with a prescription.
Right.
Versus
100%.
Versus somebody's cabinet, somebody unwrapping a tissue or handing you a bag because you don't know what else might have been in it.
And the other thing too is, as you well know, in 2030, when we get that far ahead, it's 2026 now, 65% of Rounders are going to be 65 years old.
Yep.
So we need to pay attention to that number we as people that are in government and people that are 501c3s, the people that deal with the elderly, we need to pay attention.
100%. Yes. Yes. We do.
I see it now, Deb, in my senior center in Smithfield.
Yep.
They're grabbing 4 to 5, sometimes 5 to 10 new members every week.
Yes.
Every week.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We are one of the older states in the country, and it is something that our politicians need to pay attention to. It is a misbelief that all individuals over 65 are draining the system. That's not true. And we need to support the folks who need that little extra help. But we also need to be mindful that individuals who have substance use disorders or mental health concerns, they are aging. They are aging successfully now. And so we need to think about, what does that mean when they are 65, 70, 85, 90, and make plans now? Because right now, our system is not planning for that.
Right. And we're getting older by the day.
Yep.
People are working longer. Medications are not anything cheap anymore.
Yeah.
You look at people who are on Social Security with a $2,000 deductible on medications. I mean, that's ludicrous.
It is.
Ludicrous.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. But we do what we can with what we have, right?
Right. Exactly.
And organizations like ours, we support each other and cheer for each other and amplify our messages.
That's what we have to do. We have to make sure everyone is educated, that's making the decisions for our elder folks and the people who have substance use and mental health issues.
John, thank you so much for coming on today. And I hope that you're willing to come back on a little later in the year again.
Anytime for you. You know that.
All right, my friend. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too now. Bye-bye now.
Everybody, if you or someone you know is struggling with a substance use disorder or a mental health concern, depression, anxiety, that's not normal parts of aging. Please reach out in an emergency situation. Of course, call 911, but you can also dial 988. You can text 988. Those numbers are being answered here locally. As John said, you can reach out to his office at the Substance Use and Mental Health Leadership Council. He's got his finger on the pulse of all of the resources in Rhode Island. Their website actually has open beds listed in all of the treatment facilities around the state. It's an amazing resource. His number is 521-5759. And if by some chance you're looking for help and it's after hours, you can get John's cell phone number and reach out to him directly. He won't turn you away. We are all in this together. We want to live long, healthy lives independently in our community, surrounded by our friends and family. Everybody, I am glad that you are surrounding me today with your friendship. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. In the meantime, be well and be kind.